right. There, that little participants thing is starting to go up. Attendees, here we go. Ooh, I can see names. Okay, that's cool. I think I knew that, but it is nice to see who's here. So Jen, there's a lot of actors here.
Cool.
I know it's a new audience for you, and I'm very excited.
Oh, nice to meet all of you, unofficially, but sort of officially.
I will go into more about us, but Jen is my coach, so it's really cool to have her do a webinar with me because it's my teacher and now what I've learned from her.
I'm excited to be here. I feel like it's been many years since we've seen each other in person, and we talk a lot on the phone, but it's nice to see you face to face.
No kidding. One of these days it'll really be face to face, but we have a little more time before that's going to happen. So
I know. It's I feel hope in the air, but still
a little ways out.
Yeah, pandemic is still real. It's still happening. I'm in New York City. Things are slowly changing, but yeah, we'll see how it all pans out.
Actually, speaking of location, it'd be great to know where everyone is. So type it in the chat where you're joining from so we can have a better idea of who's here. Toronto, Brooklyn, Arizona, Burbank, LA. Did I miss any? Montreal, nice. Ooh. San Fran, NYC. Nice. So before the pandemic, I would have felt like I didn't have anything to say to people outside of LA. And it's like changed everything for me and I think for the industry. So it's kind of interesting. We only got about half of people here, so we can still wait one more minute or two before we start.
So cool seeing people from all over. Sure. That's the benefit of this virtual world, I feel. I really do. Because if it wasn't so virtual, you only see people in your general neighborhood, and there's definitely a positive to even just meeting people over Zoom chat. I've made some friends over Zoom chats in workshops in the past year. I don't know if they're lifelong friends, but they're definitely friends.
Totally. It's like, I think it's actually made us make more time for those relationships, especially even just, in casting, just meeting actors. It's way more likely that I'm going to take a 15-30-minute Zoom call with an actor than I'm going to go meet you at a coffee shop. So it's a really nice way to get that out of the, have that option without, having to drive halfway over town to meet someone.
Especially in LA, because that's like a couple hours of a process.
Exactly. Bay, LA, NY. More NY. Well, I met Jen at a workshop at General Assembly, which, if you don't know, it's a really great kind of finishing school. post school for those interested in tech careers. You probably have a better spiel about it than I do because you teach there.
Yeah, I mean, you're completely on point with it. I would say it is a bit of a finishing school, right? I feel like it's a place to go to learn skills you didn't learn in any school because you didn't know you needed them. And I teach like digital marketing, personal branding, public speaking, like a variety of classes. I've been teaching with them for 6 years, but yeah, it's been cool because you get to meet people. I have like a weird background, weird story, but at one point in my life, I was living in new cities every couple of months for 2 years. And I ended up in LA for many different months. And I taught a lot at General Assembly then. And that was how I met Julia. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the skills we need in life, we don't learn in school. We have to seek them out. And then those skills are also like mini skills underneath them. Personal branding is one skill, but then it's like, hey, learn some social media because you're probably doing that wrong. And you should probably know email marketing and like other things too. So a lot of the skills I feel like we need in this world, are things we have to seek out to learn that are not even related to maybe what we want to do. You know, a lot of you are actors or in the creative industry, but so you know that skill, you're real good at that, but how do you separate yourself? Learn 5 skills that are unrelated, but that really benefit you.
That always with the good advice.
Yeah.
It's true. I've been trying to figure out, marinate a social media post about actor being entrepreneur and how we don't think about it that often, that you really truly are an entrepreneur and you're a business owner and in charge of your own career, agent or no agent. That's just the case, your own brand, your career and everything. And so thinking about it from that business perspective, I think gets overlooked way too often.
I had to learn this, you know, I guess my best comparison is I'm an author, and even having an agent, even selling a book to a major publisher, it doesn't matter. You're still your own marketing vehicle. And in fact, your value to publishers in my world, almost like you as actors and actresses, your value is also what your marketing plan is, what your platform is like. And I never had to realize that. I majored in poetry in college. I'm a writer, but having all of these skills in PR and personal branding and social media has elevated my chances, my opportunities, has shown value. And you're exactly right. You almost have to treat it like you are a solopreneur, like you are an entrepreneur. You're more than one skill. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that. They just think they have to get really good at that one skill, like writing or acting. But really, you got to get good at that skill plus many skills. And that's not to freak you out. That's not to scare you. But I think it's to benefit you. And I think when you get good at that, you separate yourself from a crowd of people trying to do the same thing.
Definitely. It's communicating your worth clearly.
Yep.
Speaking of, let's get started because we have way too much to talk about to wait too long. So I made a fancy presentation because I like to have those. Jen introduced me to a program called Canva. Oh, before I start, I highly recommend that you have a pen and paper. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to cover, and notes are definitely going to help. So Canva, Canva, is a website that you can basically, it's like Photoshop online. A lot of it is free, not all of it, but it's a great place to make things like your logo or change the size of something. And I make all my presentations on there. So let's do this. And hold on 1 second, please. All right. Now, I'm assuming we can see okay. I'm going to hide the Q&A, but everybody can see okay. I'm sure someone will tell me if they can't. So Canva made me look pretty. Here, that's my presentation. This is personal branding for actors and artists. I'm with Jen Glantz, my teacher and coach, and you know me, casting Julia Bianco Schoeffling. So, Jen, you want to start introducing yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Nice to formally meet you. My name is Jen Glantz. I have quite an unusual background that I'm excited to tell you about. I'm the most well known for a business I started 6 years ago as a bridesmaid for hire. I'm the world's first person to be a bridesmaid for hire, which means, yes, strangers hire me to show up at their wedding, pretend to know them from kindergarten, and be their bridesmaid, which I guess is a little bit of acting, but unofficially. That's my side business that I've been growing over the past 6 years. I also have a podcast, and I am a nonfiction author. I do courses and coaching as well through my website, jenglantz.com. So that's a little bit of my background, the short version of it.
And you know me, I am the COO and casting director at the Help Network, and I made this presentation and this class because I want it to be easier to find you. So what is a personal brand? I stole this one directly from Jen. This lovely quote here. It's what you do that makes you who you are and how you project that to others that makes you memorable. Jen, you want to share anything about this generally?
Yeah, I think, a big misconception that people have is, why do I need a personal brand? Like, I'm just trying to do what I'm trying to do. But the thing about having a personal brand is it's the organization of you being able to explain yourself, show your value, and show your uniqueness. And I think the number one thing to think about, especially throughout tonight, is start from scratch. Go way back to the starting line. There's going to be a lot of activities in this workshop, but the main point is to take inventory on yourself. Do you even know who you are aside from the adjectives you frequently call yourself and say about yourself? And a personal brand is you packaging that. So we'll talk a lot about that and more.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's important is that not everybody is just going to be one thing. One of the main reasons I went to Jen in the first place is because I was starting out as a casting director. I was doing freelance stuff, but also started the Help Network with Chip at the same time. And so just trying to figure out how to talk about myself was really difficult. And also like the different jobs that I have and where to put them and how to brand that. And so that's what Jen has helped me do ever since.
Yeah.
What's out there? So this is really important. The very first thing that we will all do is Google you. And so you should Google you too. It's just a great exercise very often to Google yourself and see what comes up on the first page of results. Oftentimes actors will have common names. So if you can't find yourself on that first page, make sure you put actor after. If you can't find it with actor after, you may want to add something like voice actor, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, or mocap actor, something like that, that would help you be found under those things. But most of the time you want to find something unique enough that it's your name and actor, at least, that'll help you be found on that first page.
Yeah, and definitely invest in something so that it shows up on that first page. The thing is, you don't want to make people do the work for you, do the work for them. So what I mean by that is, if you're successful and you have an IMDb page, you have this, you're still asking me to go link by link by link to figure you out. Instead, think about investing in a home. And I'm a big believer in having a website for yourself, even if it's one page that clearly defines who you are. The more professional looking that is, the more you've invested in making that look good, the more a casting director might say, you know what, I understand this person and they made it easy for me. So not only look at everything that's there, but look at how to make it so that it's condensed and easy to understand who you are.
Yes, indeed. And some of these sites that we talk about in a little bit will definitely show up on that first page. So just making sure you're present on those will help. So your personal brand is a living document. It's your value promise, and it answers the questions: do people understand what you do, and do they understand your value? I think that this is the 24/7 living document is really undervalued. I think having a personal website, like Jen just said, is so essential just to be able to keep what's relevant at the top of your resume. It's the easiest place to control.
Mm-hmm. I think, start off also figuring out how you would answer these questions. The number one question you're going to get in your life is, hey, what do you do? Record yourself and how you answer that. Likely you're rambling, likely maybe you're too brief with your answer, but start to really think about, okay, how would you answer these questions? And do you understand your value? I say that as a question, and it can be really hard to break down. Well, what does it mean to have value? Start to figure out what your purpose is, what makes you unique, what makes you stand out. And even if you're somebody who hasn't done a lot of work in this industry yet, there's still things that you bring that make you unique and memorable. But you need to know that and be able to define that for anyone else to pay attention to that.
Yeah. Where we're looking. Okay, so these are some of the sites that come up on that first page. So if your personal website especially has your name, JuliaBiancoSchoeffling.com, JenGlantz.com, those are really great. Obviously, if you can't get your own domain, having actor or something similar also works, or some kind of abbreviation also works, but making it, as unique to you as possible and not something hard to remember. It is a hard thing for actors sometimes to want to do personal websites, especially once you get to a certain point. I'm perfectly fine with it being a one pager with your agent's contact info, but it should be something that exists. I even wish that celebrities had something like that, honestly. You can find that info, have your PR person, who cares? It just should, you should just own your name domain. You just should. For Instagram and LinkedIn, both of those come up really easily on search. Instagram is probably the number one place where casting directors are looking. And we'll talk a little bit about that more in a bit. But having a presence on there is important. It's not about the numbers, it's not about followers. It's just showing that you're a real life person that does things and goes places and is alive. You don't have to post every day. It doesn't have to be every self-tape you've ever done. It shouldn't be. It should be a nice mix between like real life human stuff and some of your acting stuff and whatever else you're pursuing. It just allows us to kind of keep tabs on you without having to reach out. It's almost as good as sending, especially if you know casting directors are following you, as sending one of those old postcards that you would send to casting offices, because we are on Instagram and we are looking. LinkedIn, Jen taught me very well that LinkedIn has great search engine optimization, great SEO. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, it will almost always show up on that first page of results. It's a great landing page for your links, even if it's just a link back to your website, your Instagram, your actor sites, anything like that, your reels. But it's just a really good place to say, hey, look, I'm a professional and actor is listed under my job titles. And you can put that actor job title for yourself for as many years as you've been acting. And that for me helps legitimize it that you've been trying, you are a professional actor and you have been for this long. Doesn't matter what jobs you've booked, it's how long you've been training.
I love all of that.
And the last one is just actor sites. Actors Access, Backstage, casting networks, all are great places to have profiles for yourself. IMDb, have a picture. That's my, your turn.
I can't agree enough. And I think, you know, I'm chatting some resources here, 2 great, easy places to make a website: squarespace.com, wix.com, buy your domain name, godaddy.com, or through the websites I suggested above. Social media is key. And it's not meaning you have to be an expert, but when we go there, look credible. When we go there, look like you have value. When we go there, let us know you're alive and well. So even if you post 2 times a week, that's good enough. And this is a great free tool, buffer.com, where you can schedule your post in advance. So you can look at the month of June and say, okay, like what are 2 posts I can post each week? Plan that in advance and schedule it so it's automatic. But again, think of this as your credibility checklist. When people are looking into you, wanting to know your background, these are the places they're going to go to check the list of, hey, has this person, you know, what has this person worked here? Have they done this? Have they established themselves? Do they communicate their value? Like, this is going to be your credibility checklist. Also know that many people don't have a lot of this. So if you do, and you do it well, you stand out. So this is what, and you don't have to do all of this tomorrow, but slowly building this is so valuable.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Not everyone has these things, and having these things really helps us also sell you, because then I can provide this information to my client and they can do their own due diligence as well. And people like knowing who they're hiring, especially for some of the bigger jobs. You're going to be a brand representative. They want to make sure that they know what they're getting into in addition to performance. If you're always ranting about your clients on your Twitter, they're going to probably see that at some point. Not all of them, but some of them. So that, you know, that's the kind of stuff to make sure that you're aware of in your entire brand. What we need to know. Okay, so these things are great for your personal website, but also your Instagram, your bio. I want to know pronouns. I would love to know any kind of ethnicity, identity, upbringing, travels, hobbies, things that make you unique, why your perspective on the world is different. You trained somewhere unique. You participated in something that is different. All of those things help to contribute to who you are. Sports as well. That's another one that's underrated. Since we do so many sports games, if you have a proficiency in a certain sport, we would love to know that kind of information. You played badminton growing up, great, put it in there. It makes you human too. We don't want a vague bio about how you're the fresh new voice for whatever. That's fine for some things, but for my perspective, I want to know more about you and how you got to where you are. Location and specs, very basic, knowing that where you're located, where you're a local hire, if you will. I think the location part and pieces of the bio, at least pronoun and whatever you can fit, are great to have on your Instagram. The other ones on your personal website or your LinkedIn and or resume. This will include reels, your training, what you've been in, any kind of information about special skills, and photographs. All that stuff, again, can be on your personal website. It can be on those actors access profiles, those backstage profiles, and or your LinkedIn. You can definitely make an Instagram post about your new reel. It's absolutely great to have your reel linked on your Instagram easily. If you don't want to have it on there, that's also okay, as long as you have it on your personal website or easy to be found. I had something else to say about reels. Yes, reels. If you are pursuing more than voice, you should have a voiceover reel as well as any kind of on-camera reel. Even if you've not performed in anything on camera that was taped, put up clips, put up kind of movement reels of you running, jumping, playing badminton in your backyard, anything that can show us how you move. That will be super helpful for the motion capture jobs. For the voiceover, it's fine to do just voice reels. Obviously, if you have a game reel, that's what I want to hear. But if you don't, I'm fine with narration, commercial, and animation reels as well. Jen?
I think my only thing is with the bio, think about how you can be memorable. A lot of times people are viewing so many people at once. I always like to think about it as how can I be unforgettable? How can I share something about myself, my background, my interests, my passions, that as that person is flipping through a stack of other people, they can't stop thinking about something that I contributed, something about my life or my background. So write that down as like, how can you be unforgettable? And the thing about you, and I don't know any of you personally, but I guarantee you, there's a lot of things about you that make you stand out and memorable and unforgettable. Don't forget about those things. They make you human and they make you stand out in a pile of people who are just writing either things very vague or things very obvious.
Authenticity. This is just about your bio as well. In this day and age in casting, we're looking for authenticity as much as possible. And that's not just limited to an ethnicity or an identity. Like I said, it may just be something that you played sports in college and they want someone that played sports in college. So those bios are our key to cross-checking our information. We trust the agents and we trust that people are submitting themselves correctly, but also by being able to double check your bio that it says you played tennis, it would be really great for us to be able to check that box. So that's, it's not just about authenticity of background, but it's also, hobbies, where you were raised, all sorts of things. But, a son of a Polish immigrant in Boston could be something I'm asked for. That wouldn't be out of the question. And then the only thing I wanted to note on this as well is the difference between an actor versus a VO actor versus a voice artist and similar. From my perspective, because I do cast for performance capture and motion capture, it's hard. I have had clients push back on someone who labels themselves a VO actor specifically. It's not all of them, and we are teaching them that it's just a way to differentiate yourself and when you are specializing. But at the same time, if you are putting in lots of effort into on camera and performance capture and motion capture, you may not want to limit down to voice actor or voice artist. If you are only pursuing the voice arts, then it's absolutely fine to do that. We have our first activity. We're going to go relatively quickly through these just because we don't have a ton of time and I want to answer questions at the end. But we'll take a couple minutes here and I'll let Jen read these or lead these because they are her baby.
For this activity to kick things off, think about what are 3 to 5 adjectives or phrases that you want to be known for. And think about your best friend. Visualize that person in your life that you love, adore, respect, really just enjoy being around. If I said to you, tell me about that person, what would you say about them? So I'm thinking about my best friend, Sarah. I would say Sarah is humorous. She's loyal. She's kind. She often really likes to eat sushi. So I'm describing, memorable things about Sarah. And I want you to think about those 3 to 5 words or phrases that you want to be known for, so that if people were talking about you in the industry or in the room, those would be the 3 to 5 things that you would say. So think about what they are. Those are some examples, but they could honestly be any types of words. And if you want to mix in hobbies or passions, fine, that's awesome too. But what are those 3 to 5 things that you want to be known for? This also helps you stay consistent. It allows you to figure out what is the core of your personal brand. These words right here can also determine things like your brand voice and the personality that you put forward when you're writing your bio. So that's why these words come into play in many different ways.
And I will give you guys just another second to think about those, but then I'm going to move on to the next one, and you're going to have to write those after this so that we have time for questions.
This is hard to do. I mean, I'm likely a lot of these words aren't coming to you now, but think about it. Really think deeply about what are the phrases or the words that you want as your legacy, that you want to be known for. What's consistent within you in different situations? I know that some of my personal words, number one, anyone who knows me will know that I'm a very determined person. That's one of my words. Also, people who know me know that I'm a very stubborn person. That's another word that I'm proud of that defines me. So these are words that show up in really every situation that I'm in. What are the words that you bring with you when you walk into different rooms?
And I think a lot of these words, even though they may not be on the surface actor related, they are human related. And that's the kind of people you want to work with. You want to work with good humans and people you get along with, especially long hours on lots of confidential material. So I think a lot of these apply. I want to be known for being helpful. That's like the number one thing. And I try to do that all the time. That's why we're here today. Next activity here is, now we're never going to get through this right now, and this will be an easier list than the next one, but write down 50 of your strengths.
I'm just laughing because 50 is a lot. You're going to get to 10 and be like, this is easy. But then to get to 20 is going to be hard. I think the point of getting to 50 is that it really pushes you. Strengths can be however you want to define them. They can be skills. They can be personality strengths. They can be human characteristics of you. They can be things you're just good at. I don't really care what's on that list of 50. Just get to 50. And this is going to show you not only a lot of the repeats that you have. I mean, you might write down helpful in 6 different ways. That's going to show you that really stands out. But you also might just see the dynamicness of who you are by forcing yourself to get to 50. Usually I make 100, but I'm going to let you start with 50 today. I think that's fair.
Totally fair. But it's true. These activities, I did these activities when I first started working with Jen, and they really did. I still refer back to them. They helped me write my own bio. They helped me formulate how I wanted to be seen by the world.
If you're struggling with the number 50 because it's pretty daunting, think about it in the course of 5 days a week. Every single day, write down 10. By Friday, you'll have your list of 50. You can go through it, see what's common, see what's repeating, see what's shocking to you. But do it that way if the number 50 starts to scare you.
It's a little terrifying. Yeah. Not as scary as this one.
Yeah. On the flip side, what are the 15 things that you want to improve? And I don't believe in the word weaknesses. I just believe in, hey, what do you want to make progress on in your life? And this can be a combination of industry skills for your career, personal skills for you, maybe just human characteristics. You know, it could be anything from I'm really bad at managing my finances. I'm going to work on that. Or I'm really bad at following up with people. Or I'm really bad at putting myself out there for jobs lately. What are the things that you want to make progress on? And these can be from all different areas of your life, because you might not realize it, but there could be a certain skill or characteristic that you have in your personal life that is affecting your professional life. So making this list, and the other important part of this list is what's one thing you're going to do to get better at that thing. So if you just admitted that you're horrible at following up, great. What's one thing you're going to do in the next 90 days to get a little bit better at that skill? Before you know it, these 15 things will turn into strengths. And I don't say that in like a motivational way. I say that in the truth, right? These are things that are holding you back, or things that you can make progress on that will be game changers for everything you're trying to do.
And self-proclaiming it really helps to make it then a goal. You can't make a goal until you say out loud the thing that you want to do, right? And so really writing these down can give you a list of the things that you want to focus on over the next, 6 months to a year, especially on the acting side. I'm sure through pandemic, it gets pretty difficult to figure out how you can improve and change and get through more and book more. And this list should be your driver to figure those things out.
And also, some of these things can be improved, or you can make progress on these things so quick. So maybe one of the things you want to get better at is the art of following up. So you read a couple articles on it, and now you have a little bit of a skill set of how to follow up with people better. Maybe one of the things you want to get better at is the art of listening, and you listen to a couple podcasts and you get some tips on how to be a better listener. Like, there's a lot of things in your life you can improve in some of the time you waste just hanging out on social media. So think of it that way, is that you can really make yourself 1% better at so many of these things just by starting to make progress on them.
We'll give you her socials at the end, but Jen's Instagram is very helpful when it comes to all of that stuff. She's very motivational. And it's the reason that I've been coaching with her for so long. I took a little time off, but I use Jen both to help, with personal brand and stuff like that, but also for accountability, because I need someone to make sure that I'm getting the things done that I said I was going to do. And so we have that wonderful relationship where she helps me improve by just checking in and making sure that I do those things.
Well, thank you. And I'm all about progress. And I think that's, for a lot of you here tonight, maybe a lot of this sounds overwhelming, but none of this has to be done tomorrow. It's progress. Honestly, it's taking the slide deck, starting at the first slide and going slide by slide by slide, and maybe thinking of doing this over a 90-day period. So much will change for you if you just take some steps forward towards some of these things. Simple and slow.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Baby steps. So Jen said this at the beginning, but in general, we don't want to have to think. And that's the casting director's mantra. Please make it easy for us. Don't make me look for the things. Have them all in one place. You might have a bunch of different things that represent where you are. Make it focused, especially to the thing that we're potentially hiring for. And don't make me try hard, because eventually I'll just give up.
I love that. I feel like the mantras are make it easy and be unforgettable. And both of those things are absolutely doable.
Totally. The unforgettable is great. I love that. And there are people the moment you said that, I went immediately back to an audition where someone told me a story that I'll never forget.
Yeah. And I bet you, even if you don't hire that person because they're not right, you're still not going to forget them. And then 2 years down the road, there could be the perfect thing. And you're like, that's the person. Because unforgettable doesn't necessarily mean you're hired, but it does mean they will be back to talk to you. Something will happen in the future.
Absolutely. It took me a year to get back to Jen, but I found you again. So hashtags, this is pretty specific to Instagram, but I feel like it's that important, especially for actors, and especially since most of you are already on there. But it can apply to other places where you're using hashtags. I just think it's most relevant there. Be specific, but not so specific that we would never think of it. Change them up. So try different things and research and look at what other people are using and have used. When I did a class with Jen, she had me write down, I want to say 50 different hashtags that I could use. And I still refer to that today. I also have gone through the effort to put some hashtags up to give you a better idea of what we're talking about, but I want to have Jen kind of talk about the numbers a little bit.
Yeah. So a lot of people laugh at hashtags. They think they're funny, but the truth is they are a superpower to use. They actually have a purpose on Instagram and on TikTok. If any of you are using TikTok, the purpose of hashtags are to be searchable. SEO, keyword searchable. So if you post a picture of, let's say, you eating a slice of pizza, using the right hashtags will make you be found by people who are searching specific terms about pizza. So you can use that metaphor as a way of using it for your own industry, but good hashtags, and I gave you a free website you can go to find some good hashtags, but good hashtags are specific, but not too specific. So find hashtags that are in the 5,000 to maybe 25,000 range. And what that means is that's how many people are using those hashtags. You don't want to use hashtags that millions of people are using because you won't be found in that search because it's too frequent. So if I was posting a picture of me in Brooklyn eating pizza, I would do hashtag NYC pizza. I wouldn't do hashtag pizza because millions of people are using that. The other thing you can do is start to look at some people who are maybe competitors or who are using social media well and write down some of their hashtags. Likely they've done the research, but hashtags on Instagram and TikTok are so valuable. And if I can give you any advice, you can use up to 30 hashtags on Instagram. You absolutely should. I know some of you are rolling your eyes at that, but hashtags have a purpose. They allow you to be found by strangers, by people who might even give you jobs on Instagram.
I know Hari is here somewhere, and she's a director, casting director that we work with at the Help Network, and she and I use Instagram often. We have hired off of it entire jobs completely off of Instagram. So I can tell you that and off of hashtags specifically, especially once you start getting into some more specific identities and ethnicities. And so that's actually where these guys came from. I didn't actually look at the numbers on any of these, Jen. So I have no idea, but I would guess that some of them fall in. But some of these are what I would think. Indian actor, black actor was probably too vague. So black VO actor may be smarter, but putting both does not hurt. Non-binary actor, deep voice, mocap Los Angeles, mocap NYC. I would think that would be even more useful. Trans mask actor, things like that. I know no, I didn't talk about it. I use actor generally. I don't distinguish actor, actress. I use actor generally. I think most people do, especially when searching hashtags. You can do additional ones that say actress if you identify as an actress, but I do think it's important that you cover your actor basics. Any questions or not questions, anything else on this, Jen?
Yeah, I would say these look great, just because they are specific but not too specific. I would avoid creating your own hashtag, like hashtag Jen the best VO actor, like right. That. No one's searching for that. So make sure you don't create your own hashtag. Start to do some research to find out what people for different roles are searching for. And these do seem great for these specific categories as well.
But having a list of a bunch of them, 50 of them on a Google Doc that you can just copy and paste from is super smart. So do that. Another activity, asking people in your life so that you can kind of understand what people think and know about you.
This is my most favorite activity because you never really know what people are going to say. It's sort of fun. What if you just chose a couple people, 3 people in your life, and choose 3 different kinds of people? So one person who maybe has worked with you, one person who loves you like a family member or a friend, and then one other type of person. So 3 different categories of people. What if you ask them, hey, can you answer the question of who am I? What do I do? What makes me unique? And write down their answers. You might be shocked at what they say, but it will help you formulate your answer a lot more. So this is usually usually a fan favorite because it gives people perspective on what other people think your personal brand is. Now, some of you are going to get responses that are so flattering and that you adore. Others of you might get responses that are so wrong, that are not what you do. It's not who you are. And that means you really have to alter the perception of your personal brand. So it's a great learning experience either way.
That is, if I asked any of my parents' friends, they're like, you're in computers, right? Computer games, something like that. Something like that.
Yeah. Similar, yeah.
Yes. And this one feeds your tagline. So this is something that's super useful, and kind of what Jen was talking about when somebody asks you what you do. This is the thing that you can that you've practiced. It's your elevator pitch, if you will, for those that you meet and those that are potential clients and relationships.
Yeah, and if you can get this tagline to be 8 seconds, you got something good, because the truth is humans have an attention span shorter than goldfish, just 8 seconds. So a lot of times if you can create a brand tagline that's catchy, clear, and is under 8 seconds, it's going to be memorable.
All right. So I want to go to, here's all of our info. You can add us on LinkedIn, follow us on social media. Jen has her email here. I highly recommend, and I'll give her a little time at the end to kind of let you guys know what her services are. But I would love to get into some questions. I have not looked at the chat whatsoever. So I was going to catch up on that really quick. And I saw that there was a couple Q&As in here. So the first, hold on. Is there anything in the chat that I need to address? Jen, you were looking there.
I don't think so. I think there was a couple Q&A.
Okay, yes. So Max Reed, thank you for your question. What are your thoughts on the effectiveness of email trackers? I really like that you can see what hits and what doesn't, but I have mixed feelings about being able to see when and how often someone opens an email or clicks on a link. So Max, that's a really great question. I am perfectly fine with email trackers. I never judge when I receive them. I have gotten them many a time from people. I personally don't typically use them, only because I just haven't dived into it. That said, I wouldn't have any problem with them, I don't think. I can't, I'm trying to think about it in another casting director's chair, and I guess I could see some squirrely folks, but if you're emailing with them anyway, I think if you've gotten to that point, it shouldn't be an issue. That's my 2 cents. Jen, you use them, don't you?
I use them. I use one called Mail Tracker, and I like it for peace of mind to know, okay, did they open the email? Did they not see it yet? I do a lot of PR reach out. So when I'm reaching out to media, I want to know when my follow-up email goes out that I'm going to send, because you have to follow up. I want to know how to phrase it. Do I phrase it that they never even opened the first one? Do I phrase it in a different way? So I use Mail Tracker, and that's free for Gmail. And then the other program I use is called Rebump, R-E-Bump, and that helps you schedule follow-up emails, which might not be applicable for you, but I like the tracking for the mail. Me personally, I never get upset if I see someone else use it to me, but I can understand if that maybe makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, I also can see someone being weird about it, but again, I think the good outweighs the bad on that.
Yep.
Next question from Dennis. For voice acting, I'm a multifaceted, but I am really good at doing villains and would like to have a focus niche. How do I go about selling myself as such? I would have a villain demo. I would have a demo of just all your villains. If you can figure out getting a visual demo, if you've already played any characters that you can capture a video of, those are always a little bit more exciting when we can see the character and hear your voice, but a voice only demo is perfectly fine. And I would give us a variety of those villains. I think that would be a really cool, unique reel to have. In terms of LinkedIn, as an actor, how would I go about formatting my profile through a program not really made for performers? as someone with no representation and some credits? This is a really great question, and I'm very glad you asked it, because I also wanted to note many people have more jobs than just actor, and it's okay to put those on your LinkedIn. Everyone has pieces that make them up, and those are the pieces that make you you. I think it's important not to deny those when going to hiring managers. It's only there's everyone knows that you have to work to eat. So there's nothing hiding there. In terms of formatting, I would add actor as a job. And if you have other jobs, that's fine. And then I would put your credits where you can beneath that job as your job description, highlighted credits. I would make sure that you have links accessible to your personal website, and making sure that you have an easy way to contact you. I don't know why that wasn't on here. That should have been on here. Yeah. An easy way to contact you, an email address to contact you on your websites. Everyone should have an email address on your website, on your Instagram, wherever it is. If you are worried about fans, put a side email address, put an assistant email address that just forwards to you. Whatever you have to do to get an email, casting does not want to fill out your contact form. We want an email. You can add videos, you can add links to LinkedIn. So you can treat it like any other kind of profile. You don't have to, but you can. If you don't want to go through the effort of making a personal website, you can add your links and your reels to, and even like documents, a PDF of your resume if you wanted, to LinkedIn. Jen, anything on LinkedIn as an actor that you would think would stand out? I mean, having a photo, obviously.
Yeah, definitely filling in all of the sections. I think contact information is key, because on LinkedIn, that's not necessarily obvious. That's my pet peeve, is when I'm trying to hire someone to do something that I want to use their service. I like them. They sold me on their personal brand, but now I can't figure out how to contact them. And then I'm frustrated, or I'm filling out the form. So make it obvious and easy to contact you. It just saves people so much time.
Yep, definitely. That's the number one thing. I can't believe I forgot it, actually. Nadine asks, should VO demos be downloadable? I actually do think VO demos should be downloadable, because not a lot, but some casting directors hire on demos. So being able to easily provide those to their clients and not have to direct them to your website to listen to something is really helpful. So if you can make them downloadable, that would be my preference. If for some reason your website makes it difficult to do that, you could always have a note on there saying, like, please email for downloadable version or something like that, that directs them to that you have them. Next question is from Marissa. For posting on multiple platforms, should you switch up content over IG, Twitter, TikTok, or can you cross-pollinate your content regularly? You can cross-pollinate certain things, but I wouldn't have all your tweets be links to Instagram. I would pepper in some personality there. I don't entirely know how TikTok works for that in terms of repurposing, but I don't have TikTok, so I love when people post their TikToks on Insta. And for me, the Instagram is king, and I will probably look at that first and foremost. So what you put on Twitter and TikTok would be secondary. Jen, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I would say it's not, don't use them like one size fits all. They all have different purposes. So what belongs on Twitter probably doesn't belong on Instagram, but there are definitely ways to cross over. So do it occasionally, but you really do want to focus on making content that works for the platforms. It's a bit of a game. So what works well on Instagram is photos and videos and boomerangs and stories. And what works on Twitter is a bit different. So don't be on all the platforms. You don't need to. Maybe pick two and invest time in creating content for both.
Definitely. Next question rolls right in. Should actors start using TikTok for casting jobs? I don't cast off of TikTok yet. I think it is a natural next step for us to start looking at. I've had people who want actors who know how to make TikToks on their own just for branding things. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I've also had actors get jobs for like the comedy related jobs because they were able to see their comedic things on TikTok. So I think it is probably worthy, but I wouldn't say like everyone should run out and do it. It's only like if it's something that you're interested in and think that you could do, because I don't think it's necessarily like super easy. Marlena, can you have too much going on with your website as far as areas of acting? My background is mostly VO and theater and want to expand in mocap and have pages on my website for each of those separate areas. That's a really interesting question. My philosophy is an actor is an actor is an actor. So I don't need you to necessarily separate things on there, but maybe just in terms of the reels. I wouldn't mind having a theater reel. That would be super cool for mocap purposes. And your VO reels are also very valid for mocap purposes. So I don't need you to separate them. I want you to think of yourself as a holistic actor who can perform in any media. A lot, and this one's from Max. A lot of content on Twitter and TikTok seems to trend more edgy than I would have expected. Do you have a threshold for what you consider to be too much as far as the content people post? Yes. I hire for a lot of children's brands, right? So I hire for Activision, I hire for Nintendo. And so if you have to be okay with everything you put out being seen by those hiring folks. So I do think that you should be aware of, I think that there's a lot that can fly, but I think they should all boil down to you being a good person and not doing crappy things to other people, probably generally, and not being an asshole is probably generally the or making fun of people or any of things like that. That's the type of stuff I would stay away from. But yeah, think of yourself as a brand ambassador, especially as you know, many of these voice actors are becoming VA celebrities, if you will, with garnering 100,000 followers on Twitter. You have to be careful of the things that you say when you're on a Twitch stream with your friends, just fucking around. You have to be careful of everything nowadays. Yeah. I think that's it for the Q&A. We're close to, oh wait, one more. If you're currently on the talent roster, how do you go about updating current location for more opportunities? You can go ahead and just submit a new entry. If you're talking about my talent roster for my website, you can just go ahead and fill it out again and we'll compare the duplicates. You can add something in the notes for that. Any other questions while we have, actually, before we get into any other questions, Jen, why don't you tell us what you offer?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I learned so much about this world, and that's fascinating to me. I love to sort of see this perspective. So thank you for having me, and thank you for being here tonight. I'm going to drop some links in the chat. So I have a 4-week personal branding course if you want someone to hold your hand and walk you through it to get it done in 4 weeks. Also coaching, and I'm also going to send you my email if you have any questions. Happy to answer them for you as well. And thank you so much again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen. You're a wealth of information and you've taught me so much. So I'm just thrilled to be able to like carve it into our world and adapt it, because it helps me to be able to find these wonderful folks.
Yeah, no, seriously, I feel like the way you presented it for this industry is so fascinating and can be so confusing for people too. So I learned a lot just being an outsider, and I appreciated it too.
Yay, thank you. And everyone, you can find us on social media. I try to be as open as possible on Instagram, ask me questions on there, and through the various other forms. And we're here to help whenever you can. And then the Help Network is, thanks to the Help Network. I've never done one of these where I thank the Help Network. Thanks to the Help Network for having us. And we have lots of new classes that come out on the 10th of the month. And the first place you hear about them is on our mailing list. So if you go to helpnat.com/entertainment-academy, that was really hard. Tiffany will put it in the chat. If you go there, you can find all of our current classes for sale, and you can also sign up for our mailing list, and you will get the first notice on what is coming up for the next month. Thank you all very much for being here. Have a great night. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. Good to
For hanging
see you.
out. You too.